21 hours, 4 and 30 seconds. Hello and a very good evening to you, and welcome to tonight's edition of The Police and You. My name is Stan Gouveia, Mike side, keeping you company on this Tuesday, the 16th day of November, just about 21 hours, 5 and 30 seconds, as we say welcome to the program. And without further ado, gives me great pleasure to introduce to you and to say very good night and welcome down to the program, all the way from Regional Division number 1. He traveled all the way to be with us tonight on the program, none other than the commander of that division, Superintendent Boodnarine Persaud. Very good night to you and welcome to the program.
Good night, Stan, and good night to our listeners. Well, first of all, I must say it's a pleasure for me to be here this evening to say something about my region as the regional commander.
Awesome. And of course, I know, well, usually they say when you travel a long time, you get jet lagged, but in this case, it might be, all these boat, car, whatever, lagged, coming all the way from Region 1 to be here with us. And very interesting region, which we're going to get to in a bit. But of course, for those of you who are in tune with us right now, remember, you can actually follow the conversation right here on 102.5 FM or on the Voice of Guyana or NCN's internet. You can also tune into the Ghana Police Force's Facebook page as well as its YouTube page and follow the conversation where we're streaming live there. You've got a question for the commander. Remember to make sure that it is specific to that region that is under his command. All right? Don't ask him about another region. Ask him anything about his region, and he should be able to answer you. You can send us, you can give us a call on 226-4762, or you can actually send us a message via WhatsApp on 632-0147. That's 632-0147. And it's going to be an interesting night here on The Police and You. So without further ado, we get right into it. Commander, if it is, I'm sure, you've been, as a matter of fact, how long have you been at the helm of command for Regional Division 1? And if you can tell us the physical scope or area of that region that is under your command.
Okay, Stan, well, I am there for about 4 months now. Region 1 is the 4th largest region in Guyana. We have 3 subdivisions: Mabaruma, the Mazakai sub-region, and which consists of Port Kaituma, Machus Ridge, Arakaka, and then we have Maruka. We have 11 police stations in that region. Starting from Mabaruma, we have Mabaruma Police Station, which houses the regional headquarters, also the regional chairman's office, and it's a town, so we have the mayor there. Then we have Marijuana, which is an international port in the Barima River.
And it's got the name like the narcotic, huh?
Well,
marijuana.
the name is not related to the...
The pronunciation I'm talking about, right? But interesting. Yes.
We have Imbatiro, which border Venezuela. And Yarakita. Another 15 miles from Yarakita, you will end up in Venezuela. So it's an entry point for migrants. Then we have Whitewater, which is a patrol base. And Whitewater also, migrants will enter through my Whitewater, I mean Venezuelan migrants. Then going across to the Matakai sub-region, we have Machus Ridge, Port Kaituma, the sub-regional headquarters, Arakaka, and Baramita is a CDC settlement. On the Moruca area, we have Aquiro and Santa Cruz police station. So we have leaders at all those stations. We have 106 ranks in Region 1, inclusive of 2 officers, that is myself and the deputy commander, and 3 inspectors. The 3 inspectors spread around the region, 1 in the Matakai sub-region, 1 in Mabaruma, and 1 in Moruca. The population in Region 1 is approximately 56,000 Guyanese and about 8,000 Venezuelan migrants now. The last check was 8,589 migrants enter from Venezuela into the Region 1. And most of those migrants who have been residing in the Mabaruma area, Can Hill, Yarakita, the waterfront, the Kumaka area, and Port Kaituma. We have 6 airstrips in Region 1. One is a private one, and a gold miner in the Barama River. Then we have Baramita, Machus Ridge, Port Kaituma, the Brooms Airport is Mabaruma, and Maruca. Transportation, we have a long road, several kilometers of road in all 3 areas, but especially in Port Kaituma. Port Kaituma district will mostly be by road, also boat to get into some certain areas like the Sibai and those Amerindian villages, but in the Mabaruma, the township, it's apart from the township itself, most of the Amerindian villages that you need to get into do policing, you have to use boat. So boat is a very important resource that the police need to have there. Air service play a big part too, because to get to these different counties, different subdivisions, you have to, in some instances, you may have to fly.
All right. I know. As a matter of fact, when the CCU was there sometime early this year, that's before you got there. One of the things that we discovered was a challenge was connectivity in terms of internet, and even not just internet, but also being able to sometimes make phone calls from certain areas, maybe because of the remoteness of it, and so on. So I'm sure this is one of the challenges that you've got with policing in that area. What are some of the others that you would see or could identify that makes it, gives you some challenges as a matter of fact?
Well, for the internet service, we get some improvement. When the weather is bad, the internet goes off, so you won't get it. But other challenges in the region generally would be like the terrain, communication, transportation. Like if you have to attend to a report in certain area like Nasanu, Bagram, 5 Star, Eyelash, Bamboo, and most of it in the Matakai sub-region. And we do receive report of crime in those areas. First of all, communication, you have to, a certain person, if you have satellite phone, you will get through easily. But it will be a challenge because someone will have to ride to a certain distance until they get some signal, then they get on to the police. And in sort to get to certain back dams, you have to use ATV, and in certain places you have to walk. You could go with a 4-wheel vehicle to a certain point, then you have to continue with the ATV, and then by foot. So sometimes the response time is a bit challenging. Not like on the roadside you would expect that you will calculate the distance, that if you are going from point B to point B, what time it would take. Well, it is different there. So those are some of the challenges. Some other challenges is because of in certain villages, the literacy level is very low. So, getting people to understand, certain message that important message that you may want to send out is very difficult. Like, for instance, Barometer. Barometer have the largest Carib settlement, and some of the residents there only speak the Carib language, and the attendance at school and those things are very low. Because I recently had an outreach involving the army and some regional heads, where I met with some of the people, and those were some of the things that came out of it. It also have a high suicide rate, and say high as in 6 weeks we had six report of suicide in Barometer. And to get rid of some of those background, to transport the body, the victim, it was challenging because you had to go through trails and you have to get the body out from to Barometer, certified by the medical personnel. Then you have to travel to Port Kaituma so that the body could be postmortem there. Easy access for the doctor from Georgetown to Port Kaituma. They also have a hospital there that where the body could be properly stored. So those are some challenges, apart from a few others. But communication is very important, and we does get the report late sometimes.
Sometimes. All right, which of course is out of your control, as you rightly say, and that is because of, especially as you rightly said, because I've heard even some people who are especially are into gold mining. They, I remember one time we were at one area where a gentleman said that what they would have to do sometimes is they move with their phone and they have to wait until or to get they get an angle, and then they've got to then maybe stick down a plastic bag there and say, well, here's where I'm going to get good signal. So if I need to use it to make a call or what's not, this is where I've got to come back. And it's usually a distance from where their camp is or their location is to get there. So you've got those kinds of difficulties.
Yes, I do. Even at the Yarakita police station, where I have rank station, I cannot get onto them by phone or radio set. They would have to go to they have a play field, and they would set their phone in a certain angle. And that is the only area that they will get some signal. So sometimes you have to, when you are not getting it, you have to get on to maybe a CPG member if he is out, and they could communicate, or they would go in and pass on messages and those things. But apart from Yarakita, they have many other areas that, yes, you would have to do some gymnastic to get signal.
I can only imagine. Of course, this is Police and Geo here on the Voice of Ghana. And in case you just joined us, we've got Superintendent Boodnarine Persaud, who is the commander of Regional Division 1, on the program tonight as we continue. Commander, we talk about some of those challenges, and I know countrywide, many other commanders would have indicated they've got some challenges also when it comes to the enforcement of COVID-19 restrictions. And when you think about this in terms of the enforcement of the COVID-19 restrictions, what kind of measures you put in place, given the limitations and given your terrain that you have?
Well, we have a good system in place because the regional body are on board. The regional chairman is the head of the task force in the region. They have a sub-body in Maruka and in the Matakai sub-region in Port Kaituma. And police, the senior police, are part of that task force. And they also, and we also have the members of the community policing group. So we do enforce the face mask and breach of curfew time. But sometimes you would get call from some far off Amerindian village that someone is out of the curfew time. But it will be difficult in that late night, and to to get a boat to go to those areas and things. So what we advise is to take the information of the person, you know, and we could always proceed with prosecution in days to follow. But many times you don't get back, you know, the information has to name and address. But we do prosecute a lot of people, breach of curfew, um, social activities that without permission and fail to wear face masks. And we have a good system because when it reaches a certain point, the officer there at Matakai, he would muster his ranks. Let us say when the curfew was 10:30 and 9:30 was the close off time, he mustered his ranks at 8:39. So they are on the go. So we're ready to close off the shops, and everybody is expected to be home by 10:30. Because if you allow the business people to close by themselves, you do get challenges sometimes. And sometimes some of these business people just be happy when the police go there because they are getting difficult times to get the patrons out of the building sometimes. So it do work, but we do get complaint that the curfew is breached. But sometimes the area, it might be a transportation challenge and those things. We would send our patrol among the close by area.
Hmm. All right. Now let's turn our attention to another, and this is across the country. And one of the things we did see coming out from traffic countrywide is that as much as you would have been having so many accidents, comparative to last year, it is lower. But your region is no less in terms of having its fair share of accidents. Since the commencement of Road Safety Month, which is this month, November, under the theme Arrive Alive, Stop Speeding, Don't Drink and Drive, for this year, what are some of the things that is being done in your region to curb the accidents and the incidents on the trails and your roadways? Because for your region, most of what occurs would be incidents along the trails,
Correct.
right? Which usually you may not necessarily have traffic ranks out at a point in time. But what are you doing to minimize or to mitigate those?
Well, we concentrate a lot on education program. We know enforcement, education, engineering are some of the things that we need to clamp on to ensure that you know less road deaths and those things. But because of the far off terrain, the far off trails and those things, we did a lot of lectures to the drivers. At Port Kaituma, they have a car park there, and then most of the persons that coming out of the gold mining area, at some stage they would end up at Port Kaituma. So we get an opportunity to talk to them, and the SO in charge of traffic, he had an interaction with a lot of drivers at Port Kaituma. Also in Mabaruma, we have an SO in charge of traffic there also. He had 3 sessions with drivers flying the airport, the Kumaka front area, where most of the vehicles would assemble and branch off to the other areas. In Maruka, also, not much of a road, more boat, but for the for the few vehicles that we have there, the traffic ranks also did some educational program. The presence is intensified also. We have more increased presence. We have well the Christmas policing kicked in yesterday. So now we have at those same busy areas we have ranks in booths at Maruka, Port Kaituma, and Mabaruma. They also look at the drivers who may tend to want to consume alcohol and those things and report it. They serve as a night for us. One of the challenges with the traffic is that we are a little bit short of well breathalyzer and speed gun and those things, but most of the roads here are not gazetted too. You know,
Yeah, yeah, and then you've got a lot of trails.
right?
Um, I I believe one of the more recent reports that you would have sent out to us would have indicated that it was a matter of going up a hill, which was going around the bend
Yeah.
and then up a hill,
Okay.
and there was something with the truck that it ended up reversing and going out of control and then toppling and that kind of thing.
Yeah, there's a popular dangerous hill called Tiger Hill going up to Yarakita. It is high and it goes around a torn also. And in those trails you will get things like tree, certain part of a tree. If it fell, you have a portion will be stuck on the road and those things. Well, from our investigation, that particular vehicle would have touched one of those um, part of the tree. It was across the road. Driver lost control, end up into the curb and topple. And those persons that were injured were actually in the tree of the vehicle. So they fell off.
Hmm.
And
It, is it a matter? Would you say for those kinds of, particularly traveling the trails in Region One, that people take a risk despite knowing and maybe not exercising the necessary caution that they need to?
well, I think that particular accident, you need to exercise caution, and maybe the driver was not. Um, you know, the investigation is still on, but I would say enough caution was not exercised going up the hill. It's a known hill, and drivers would know what are some of the action to take when you're going up that hill. You know, so it's a general call on all the road users. You have to be careful. Also, I plan to do a defensive driving class with the drivers of the government and non-government organization in Mabaruma. That is planned for Wednesday. That is planned for Wednesday. And also there's a radio station in Mabaruma. I asked the traffic officer, and he to set a program for Saturday, so we could continue to sensitize people about the safety, road safety.
Awesome, awesome.
Because the now Mabaruma, the road, the infrastructure is getting better. The roads and things are getting better because presently now they are doing a stretch of road in the town itself. And when that road will have been completed, it is expected that vehicles will, they will go faster. And if you are traveling from the airport to the brightest part of Mabrun, which is called the Komaka waterfront, there are several areas that you could topple off a hill and end up hundreds of feet below,
Even though it's what you would call good roads.
even though it's good road. So if a person consume alcohol to an extent that they cannot, you know, control themselves or handle a vehicle, well, it is likely that we could get some of those, which I would not like to happen. So that is why I intend to make the first move to teach them on defensive driving. You know, I know everyone will think about money first, and if attending to a training session about defensive driving, they would not earn money. I would try my best to convince them that it is important that you understand how to use the road, because they are young drivers. We do have a good a good session that you have to purchase a package. You have to go through tutorial sessions, and if you pass at the exam, then do a practical before you get the license. So we do have all of that. So um, the drivers would have something, to start with, but they need education is continuous.
Would you say in the same vein that do you find that maybe there are many persons who may get behind the wheel who not just with the alcohol issue, but maybe are unlicensed and meaning unauthorized to actually drive or commandeer a motor vehicle?
Yes, you would get a report like that, and the reports will come from other civilian body that a person what we're in the trail, right? In the other roads that we're far off from police station. Um, you know, you would find ATV driving, but and then we don't usually would always go and stop them from and to check documents and those things. So if they let us see if they are not wearing a helmet, it gives us an opportunity, and then that is when we could be able to prosecute them, or if they are involved in an accident, to prosecute them. But it's not like you randomly go, because to go back to that practice, I don't want to, you know, the people to complain about harassment. So we don't want to go to the practice of checking documents.
All right, with that in mind, and you did mention that sometimes civilians groups would actually, give that kind of support or reports. You've got policing groups in your region,
Several.
and how supportive are they of the police?
They are very supportive. They are very supportive, but in certain cases, they sometimes be afraid to go into certain, so they would want the police support. But in terms of giving information, but the drivers that I'm talking about that they are reporting, they won't give you a name. They'll just, you know, say a person is driving without license. They don't know his name, but I don't think his man have license. Those things. So you're not get a direct name to link to. But the community policing group members, they are giving us support. We have 19 groups in Mabaruma.
19 groups.
We have 5 active groups in Port Kaituma. There were 8 groups. Three of the groups are dormant. In Maruka, we have 8 groups, and we does a patrol every from Thursday to Sunday. We would do a joint service patrol. In Mabaruma, we work along with the GDF. So you have like about 2 ranks in the army with about 4 police officers, 3 to 4 police officers, and 3 to 4 community policing group members. They also have a vehicle. Currently now the vehicle is not available. When the vehicle is available, some of the ranks will go on the CPG vehicle, some on the police vehicle, and we do patrol. And it goes along nice. And we are happy to have them on board, even though they are not joint service. But looking at transparency and those things, having the civilian body on board, you feel more, that whatever you are doing, you're more protected, because sometimes persons make allegations against police, and when police alone, you know. But I have not been getting any complaint when these civilian bodies on board. So it is working, and they are part of the enforcement of the COVID-19. And if ever there is a report of rape or statutory rape or break and enter, they would also be part of the team to enforce.
So they really give a lot of support
They really
to
give a
the
lot of
police.
support. We have CPG, we have liaison officers in Maruka, in Port Kaituma area, that is in Arakaka, and in Mabaruma we also have the divisional chairman, CPG chairman in Mabaruma, who is giving us a lot of support. We do visit these groups from time to time. Recently I visited Wauna, have a group there in Mabaruma district, and Baramita, a farmer group. And looking at the reaction of these community members, they are willing to work, because it's a voluntary service. You are not getting a stipend or any pay for it. The benefit you are getting is that you'll be living in a safer community. That is the benefit, and you understand that. But they love that, because some of them have business also, and they would want to, weed out all the bad ones from the community, to ensure that their business are being flowing properly. So CPG plays an integral part of our crime fighting in Region 1. Whenever there is a complaint against a rank, I will address it immediately. I'm talking about complaint by CPG members,
Mhm.
and get them to, to shake hand and go again. And the complainers be like the rank might not be showing much of a respect to the CPG members. Those are some of the complaints. Or sometimes they walk in and for some reason they not acknowledge them. And those are some of the few reports you will get. But it always sort out and they go good again.
Awesome. Now, from what you talk, this being the fourth largest region in Guyana, yet still it's quite extensive, your division, and definitely not just extensive, but far-reaching also, and being um, bordering other another country. What would you say if you turn now to your ranks ability, uh, considering the resources and manpower to be able to manage that region?
Well, I told you before I have 106 ranks, and I could tell you all of these ranks, they are willing. I hardly get any complaint of any rank not, reluctant to go on any duty. They are willing, ready. You do get some, as I tell you, some of the minor complaints we get of not acknowledging to sort acknowledging people. You would get complaints that they did not speak well in a particular um, area or in a mode of arrest. But corruption, there was one report of corruption, report of corruption in Madakai district. The ranks and OPR went there and investigate. The report is still pending. But the ranks in Region 1, they are working. How we get them to work, the heads of every sub-regional in Maburuma, I am doing it myself. Talk to them, you know, get them to understand that we are working in a professional service and we need to be professional, teach them integrity and, ethical behavior as a whole. And every week, the station sergeant, they have to hold an instruction class. And ethical behavior is part of that. And we do reminding them about the consequence in corruption, because when you're involved in corruption, your family will be embarrassed, the force will be, the reputation of the force will be tarnished, and then they for themselves would, be looked at differently in society. And they tend to understand. We are getting them to work. So far, I haven't get any serious complaint. But one of the other challenging thing, and even the ranks in Mabaruma, there is no uh, parlor service in Mabaruma. And sometime when we get report of deaths in this Amerindian community, and there are several Amerindian community, you're talking about 56 Amerindian community in Region 1. The some that run by the two show is about 22, 24 are the two show villages, and 32 CDC Community Development Committee. And sometimes when that report in this community, something may be malaria, something may be suspected COVID-19, something it could be diarrhea. Yes, I know the police, we have to go and check on those things, but it become our responsibility now to get that disease transport and taken to the hospital, and that is when the hospital will take over. So sometimes our police have to be like undertakers, but all of that, we just want to ensure that the community is not complaining. But that's a service that is needed in Mabaruma, a part of service.
All right.
So we get undertakers and because it is COVID
Very
19.
serious. And if you don't have it means that
Protective gears.
you now as police have to now take responsibility of that, maybe the storage of bodies. That's correct, right?
No, the storage of the hospital do assist in that
Oh,
because we are
okay.
responsible until it reaches here. But and the hospital do assist us with the vehicles and those, but then it is still our responsibility to ensure that the dead reach the hospital. So sometime, not sometime, most of the time our police would go there with the ATV and they have a trolley, the hospital, and to get the body to the hospital. So all of that we are doing. Same thing for a suicide or murder in Barometer. You have to take the body to Port Kaitumo. But I'm saying this is the interior location maybe. I know it is not profitable for a parlor, a private parlor, so but it take up our resources a challenge because getting vehicles and things to do that, So the ranks are working.
All right, and kudos to them to still be able to at least manage and keep things under control. I've got someone who actually, before I get into this other question that I have here for you, but someone just messages and they're asking, good night, sir. They're saying, could you say if it is, and this is a youth, if there is any youth or scout group in your area, in your region, and if not, if there are intentions to be able to form.
This is on the talk all the time when I went to Barometer, and we will form a group soon in Arakaka. I spoke with the head teacher there, but just because of the same COVID-19, bringing a group together, you have to get consent from the parents and those things because of the COVID-19 virus. But we have intention, but so far there are no active group. But we have persons at Barometer, the police working along with the football coach and those things to have a group running in Barometer. And at Arakaka, we already have a group of persons that are likely to that we are likely to add up soon and get them to teach and groom them that they would be meaningfully occupied. Mabaruma, we haven't formed a group there as yet, but most of the children are living in the interior location in Maburuma district. But they still at the what they call the jungle ground. They have some kids there that are willing to come on board to be members of the youth club, and we are working on that. But we do need the support of the heads of the community to advise, to encourage these children.
All right, and to have that kind of collaboration. But it's, as you rightly said, it's something in discussion stage, given COVID.
Right.
All right, so for that person, I certainly hope that answers your question, and you can look forward to that happening as soon as COVID guidelines do permit. Oh, Commander, just about 21 hours 43. Let me just ask, could identify the more prevalent crimes within Regional Division 1, which is, for those of you who might not know, Barima Winey.
Right. Well, the guy named Barimo Waini because of the two main rivers that run through Region 1. Um, Region 1 is relatively quiet. When you might hear, you may hear, there's 100% increase in a certain crime. And when you look at the figure, we might see 1 for 2020 and 2 for 2021, so I give you 100%. But there's a particular crime in in report of statutory rape. We have a 240% increase in rape in Region 1. And I am of the opinion that most of these, well, to start off with, most of these rapes are reported when pregnancy occur, and it occurring in the Amerindian settlements. And we did a lot of sensitization program for the year since the year commenced. Before I was there, the previous commander also he did some. So we talked to them about you know what are the age of consent and those things. And by knowing that, I am of the opinion that that is why more persons are coming on board. But maybe many of these things used to be happening before. You know, I don't want to mention that it will be a cultural norm or anything, but um, these things are occurring more in the Armenian settlements. The reports of rape, and it's not like when you say such rape is consensual sexual intercourse, knowing that the person
Is on the
is on
age.
this cannot give consent, and the target age there is between 12 and 15. You know, um, in many cases also we have a challenge in terms of bringing the perpetrator to justice, because in many cases when the pregnancy occur and the questioning, you have the people from the trying to recall the group that is actually assisting us in terms of taking statement. Um, that is a civilian group.
Yeah, yeah. There's a civilian group that works along with the child care
Blossom Inc.
agency, Blossom Inc.
Right, Blossom
Correct.
Inc. And then we
Yes.
also have the welfare officers and the school welfare officer
Uh
in
huh.
Tupman School. And when these things are reported, sometimes they will give you information like I know he's from Georgetown. He's a Douglas boy from Georgetown. You know, sometimes they will give one a calling name, you know, and call a far off village. So the victim themselves don't actually give us the information that we need to get to the suspect. But we still have a 33% clear up rate. But many of these, you submit the report, and let us say a 15-year-old and a 15-year-old. Yes, definitely it's still statutory because the male, you know, shouldn't have, but we will submit, and sometimes the report would come back that you must administer counseling through a counseling body. In certain cases, they will be charged, but all these matters have to go to High Court. So you're not really seeing the result, you know, fast enough. And then as I'm saying that this year, more report, you know, we're
But you,
talking about
but
48 complained against 14 last year. And then the 14 was against, I think was 3 the previous year. So you could see it is reporting now, and I'm telling you, there was only one report of forced rape out of this 48, right? And the suspects in that matter were migrants, Venezuelan migrants. Um, no arrests because of information on the migrants. They are not Guyanese. They are still on the run. But it's all called for sensitizing the communities, and that is what we are doing. That is why they will be eliminated at some stage. The Tushao and some of the persons that are responsible, the counselors, we do talk to them that they should be more strict and let the parents understand what is the consent age. So even though the report are many this year, I'm hoping that we may get a significant reduction in, to come, time to come.
all right. This particularly, as you speak about statutory rape, is one that deals with a crime that involves children, and you dealt with it extensively, and particularly how it is reported. And in most cases, you would say it's due to when someone reports to the hospital because of a pregnancy.
In most cases.
In most cases, so. with your partners like Blossom Inc. and with the welfare workers, you believe that there's more work that needs to be done in terms of education and the rights of children, the rights and responsibilities of adults as it relates to sexual offenses.
Well, we are working, they are willing to work along with the police because we have recently visited an Armenian settlement named Obadeo, where they had four, I think, Obadeo, 5 reports of rape. All the police ranks, the welfare section, the blossoming people went there, and the information was, you know, was not as we expected. The, the people who were speaking out, you know, even they were not getting the cooperation from the other villages. We only one suspect were able to name, and information is that the suspect left the village a long time ago. And the person, the victim in the matter already have 2 children.
Wow.
So,
Very interesting. Now, let's turn a little bit to the perception, and in this case, Commander, public perception, and even perhaps the relationship between citizens in your region and the ranks who serve within the region.
I would say excellent.
Got an excellent.
Yeah, you would get some complaint about and the same thing about professionalism, the way how ranks speaking to people, you know. Sometimes they would say, okay, you just come and say, jump into this vehicle. You did not even say good morning or good afternoon, you know. Or they they rushed into my house without a warrant and they walked with their boots in the house, things like that. You know, maybe some of the few complaints that you are getting. But the the ranks and the people, they have a good relationship. Also the regional bodies and those, you know. You would also get complaint from the against the traffic ranks when they are doing their exercise, like tinted vehicle. Sometimes they would accuse the rank of doing selective enforcement. And it is expected from traffic when traffic ranks do an exercise that, you know, somebody is not, you would say, okay, 4 of us were traveling with overload and only 2 person get charged. And, you know, when you confront these ranks, they would say, okay, all the people that were charged, they are the one that had overload. So you are getting complaints sometimes, some may be true, some may be vexatious, but the evidence is not there to support.
Corroborate.
And then it's not really many, few, you know, not really many.
Okay. All right. Just about 21 hours, 52 and 30 seconds. You've got a couple of instances where crimes that were committed, both serious as well as minor, were committed, and you alluded to earlier by foreign nationals in your region. And you did mention earlier that you've got an influx now of just about over 8,000 foreigners, and this would be the Venezuelans. Uh, so, what kind of initiatives are you now seeking to employ to aid in either the capture and bringing to justice of some of those offenders who, you know, may commit criminal acts and then because of the landscape go off to hide?
Well, let me put it this way. They have, from 2018 to now, 8,589 migrants enter into Region 1. There are 7 areas where these migrants could come through. You have Imbatiro, Yarakita. Imbatiro is right by the border, through water. Yarakita is about 15 miles from Venezuela border. You could come through land, the jungle and water. You have white water, where you could access through water and land again. And then you have the Winey Point. In Matakai, you have Baramita, that is the Molly, I call it Molly Point. And you have the M2 road in Port Kaituma, and 5 Star, which is falling in the Machos district. What happened to, we have immigration ranks at Baramita, Machos Ridge, Port Kaituma, well, not at Imbaturu, marijuana, but the marijuana rank could easily access Imbatiru, and we have at Mabaruma. So to curb the 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 um, the situation of having to profile these persons, the immigration ranks would do the profiling. So we have name, we have address, we have pictures in certain cases, and that is how we will get some information about them. Um, there are not no reported serious or we say prevalent crimes, but break and enter are some of the reports that we're getting against the migrants, and especially at Mabaruma, those that are coming from, and they are living at the Kumaka waterfront. Actually, the residents at the Kumaka waterfront, they are more fear than it's happening. That sometimes the migrants may attack them, but we are not getting much complaint. And the Venezuelan nationals, we prosecuted several of them. We charged them for breaking into simple larceny. Last year, 3 of them were charged for murder. They are in prison. Right? And we even charged them for face masks. Well, we arrest them, and some of them well, because of the court, which is another challenge. Every 3 months you're having court in Mabaruma. So if you arrest someone for face mask, you have to place them on bail. And if you place a migrant on bail, the first thing, the migrant don't have the cash. So you have to let them sign recognizance. And then always difficult to get them back because you know they will disappear somewhere into the bush. So those are some of the things. But if they are committing criminal acts, the same as we go after the Guyanese, we will go after them. In Baramita, we had a situation where, and that was recent, we had 3 murders there. A Brazilian, it is alleged that a Brazilian killed another Brazilian, and it's alleged that a Venezuelan killed another Venezuelan, both of them on the run. So we got some information as to the perpetrators. But they are still on the run, and we are working with the community, the CPG members, to let them know that these people are desperate and whatever information that they could work. And they are working with us, but so far they are still lucky to be out there.
All right. So, got a lot of constraints there. And let me just ask before we put a wrap on things tonight. So, if you were to give us what you would say within the time that you've been there, what are your figures for maybe crime in your region, or or as you alluded to, corruption, and what are some of the initiatives that you've wanted to make sure that you put in place to have the checks and balances to be able to stem and sort it?
Well, I'm looking at community outreach. Right, that is one of the things that I am spending a lot of time on, community outreach, and whatever enforcement we have, roving patrols. Those are some of the other areas of enforcement. But I am sure with the community outreaches, we could get a lot. We do not have much, like cops and faith and those other groups on board, because the amount of pastors you may have in Region 1 to get them together from the different communities. But we do have CPG to work with. We have the Station Management Committee. But I am investing on the community outreaches and my patrols.
And of course, like you mentioned, your youth group, once the restrictions permit.
Well, if you get these youth groups right out here, Zach, when you get these youth groups and they start working along with you,
Hmm.
it's more police we are getting. They become police themselves because through them you could access a lot of information. Right? What happened? Most of these crimes are being committed also in the back dam. You know, so and as I told you before, they challenge the terrain challenge and communication, and by the time the response time would be challenging.
You made an interesting mention there quickly. When you talk about in the back dam, sometimes also you're talking about persons who are not necessarily from Regional Division 1, 2. Could be persons who uh, came from Region 4, Region 5, Region 10 to go work in the mines, commit a crime, and then decide to flee the region before you get there.
That's correct. In the back dams, you have Portsmouth Region 3, Region 4, Region 5. All of those characters you may have, we have in there because when you, they had a recent report of robbery under arms, and when you, up, when we started profiling people that access in the back dam, not necessarily suspect, but you know, when we're doing an investigation, we had persons from Region 2, 3, 4, and 5 in the back dam, and Region 9 also, working in the Madakai sub-region in the Baghdad because it's a rich gold mining sub-region. Gold mining is the main way of income in Matakai sub-region, gold mining and logging. And we know that they have a lot of persons with dredges and those things from Georgetown operating in the interior. Matakai sub-region is one of those interior locations.
Definitely another challenge
And then
you've
you
got.
don't know who is going in there. You know, what if a person commits a crime in Georgetown or Region 2 and they entering into those back dam, you know, what they could do.
So you've got to do some also uh, extra regional policing too now because you've got to now collaborate with your partners from regions 2 and region 3 also particularly for your borders of that side when certain things may occur.
Yes, we have Region 2, Region 7,
Oh
you
yes,
know,
region
our
7 too. Hmm.
neighboring regions. So we do communicate. Sometimes I will get call from Commander Region 7, you know, about if certain persons is located or anything in my region. You know, we will communicate that way. Same thing like us, I would let Region 2 or Region 7 know if you have any, if you need, want anyone or if they observe anything strange or a certain vehicle or ATV that we may have been trailing. So I still would, you know, continue my roving patrol and these dredgeowners, getting to know them, you know, work along with them also to let them know who they are employing and, you know, how to profile your employees. So in the event that there is a robbery, we could easily access some information from them because they might have other colleagues at mining there and they might not hit the person they are working with, but they could go to another background.
Wow. Commander, we're out of time, but I'm going to give you, I guess, about 45 seconds. Speak to the people of Barima Winey and reiterate again. As the new commander, you've been there for 4 months. I know you had to hit the ground running. What would you like to say to the residents of Barima Winey Region 1 as their commander?
Well, for the residents in Region 1, I would like to say the police are with you. So don't be afraid to report anything unusual, anything illegal. We do have a cell phone that is on WhatsApp. The number is 657-7971. If you have any information to share, whether it being a video, a picture, you could send it to us. And any situation that you know that may need some police intervention, you could contact me on 600 9545 or 616 6516, and I would address those concerns. Do give the community policing group members support because they are policing your community and they need your support. It is all for your own safety and benefit. And I promise that I will continue to work hard to ensure that the ranks in Region 1 behave professionally and carry out their mandate the way they ought to. And we know our motto, service and protection, that is what we are there for. And in proactiveness, I am looking at prevention more than addressing reports after they already occur. So that is why we are doing the community outreaches. And we are getting a lot of information. So I am calling on you, please continue to give us those information so that we could bring all those perpetrators to justice.
Awesome. Commander, I want to say thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for coming all the way from Boodnarine to spend some time with us on Police and You tonight.
You are welcome, Stan, and I promise my people in Region 1 that I will definitely work hard to ensure that their complaint is being addressed and to ensure their safety. It will be challenging, but I am there to work, and I can assure you that the ranks are working along with me.
Awesome. And do remember, you are welcome to return anytime, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Have a good one. And that, of course, has been another edition of the Police and You, where we've had on tonight's program Superintendent Boodnarine Persaud, who is the Regional Commander of Regional Division 1, Boodnarine, on tonight's program. As we say, a big thanks to NCN for the camera and the ability to live stream to the CCU's Simeon Brown. The name is Stan Gouveia, your moderator, saying thanks for joining us. Do enjoy the rest of your night. We'll now join Paul Moore for the news at 10.